One of the extremes of climate change is the impact it has on coastal communities. With rising sea levels, land and beach building materials are washing away, threatening livelihoods and cultures, and forcing families to relocate. The latter is the long-term effect on countries like Belize, so there must be some level of planning or preparation for this eventuality.
Planned relocation helps us to know that, well, you know what, surveys and assessments need to be done to determine areas that are vulnerable, to determine people that are vulnerable and people that may have to move from one place to the next, so that when they move, we can have housing for them, we can have health services for them, educational service for them, we can put things in place so that they can continue their livelihoods.
Low-lying areas are also vulnerable communities to disasters and climate change. And as a country, planned relocation guidelines for climate-induced relocation are a must. For the past 3 days, representatives from various government ministries have been meeting in Belmopan to build their capacities to address the challenges associated with migration and climate change. The aim is to identify when relocation is the best option and what needs to be in place for this to happen without burden on G.O.B. or the affected persons.
There's multiple challenges in terms of planned relocation, right? One is the data and the information that we need, where are the hazards, where are they going to strike? Another one is what does the community feel, right? Do they want to move? Don't they want to move? Where do they want to move? And also, how will their livelihoods be rebuilt? Are they going to have access to the same livelihoods? Is their living standard going to increase or decrease, right? So these are some of the considerations. Then there are obviously issues of resources and issues of policies that play into question in this.
This project helped to identify communities that are vulnerable to issues of climate change and the impacts of hazards. The project helped to develop a document on planned relocation. Those are guidelines on planned relocation, which tells us what should be done before moving persons from one location to the next, during and after.
The workshop will allow for these government ministries to align their programs to adapt to the challenges of climate change on a long-term basis. But the reality is that relocating an entire community or families during hazards such as floods, erosion due to climate change, is an expensive venture for the government to take on through the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO.
So having a plan can help with that, because it can help in addressing how can we get money, for instance, from international cooperation for green climate funding, and also the roles that the different ministers will play in this, right? So maybe not everything has to come from the same source. Maybe different entities can play a part. Maybe there's technical expertise that we can bring that will also reduce the cost. So all of this can be cost-saving measures for the future.
Let's say there's the Green Climate Fund. If you can develop a proposal and get a $10 million project to address these issues, that goes a far way. There's the Adaptation Fund, there's the Global Environment Facility. And so the funds are out there, but building our capacity and going out to get the funds to do what we need to do is something that we're working on even at this point. But I want to state also, as part of the discussion that we have been having, there's certain simple things, because we're talking about planned relocation, right? Because people will have to move from place to place, but we need to plan for it. So one of the things that we can do to help people to move in a sustainable way is to identify land for them. They can clear it, they can put a fence, they can put a structure, and that takes time. And so over time, they can build their own capacity to move on their own.
An integrated and comprehensive action plan to address internal migration was created and submitted to the International Organization for Migration, Belize. Duane, Moody for News 5.